The army ranked first globally is weak. Significant risks threaten the U.S. military's ability to achieve victories in wars. Various rankings and analyses question the capacity of the greatest army in history to confront the looming threats. Has the United States become marginalized in its capabilities and weak in its preparedness to defend its interests and those of its allies? How accurate is the narrative of the decline of American military influence in the world and its reduced ability to face its closest rivals, Russia and China? The decline of great powers throughout history has been linked to the deterioration of their armies and armed forces. To remain at the forefront of global military strength, the United States has maintained an army of 1.3 million active personnel, according to Pentagon statistics for 2023, making it the third largest army in terms of size after China and India. However, the number of active duty soldiers is just 452,000, the lowest since 1940. The Department of Defense manages over 4,790 military sites, including bases worldwide, covering an area of 110,000 square kilometers, approximately the size of Virginia. Yet this military power is insufficient to meet the demands of a single regional conflict while simultaneously fulfilling global commitments. Furthermore, almost no branch of the U.S. military is prepared to handle a major conflict, according to the American Heritage Foundation. The organization warned that inaction could render the armed forces incapable of defending vital U.S. interests. Overall, the American military is classified as weak, facing challenges such as insufficient funding, unclear priorities, and a lack of serious commitment to readiness and modernization. The Navy, for example, is marginal in capability and weak in preparedness. It requires 400 ships to carry out its missions, but currently has only 297. In contrast, China possesses the largest fleet with 425 active vessels, while Russia has 265. The most alarming revelation comes from the Air Force, which has been deemed very weak due to a shortage of pilots, limited combat capabilities, and reduced flight hours. During the Cold War, Air Force pilots averaged 200 flight hours per year, often exceeding 300 hours. Today, this figure has dropped to 130 hours, compared to 200 hours for Chinese pilots. Unlike the Air Force, the Marine Corps is considered strong due to its high readiness, effective modernization programs, and advanced weaponry. The U.S. Space Force, the newest military branch, has been rated as marginal. Meanwhile, warnings in Washington have increased about a Russian plan to develop space-based nuclear weapons to target satellites. Notably, the U.S. nuclear forces are also deemed marginal and unable to keep up with rapid changes in nuclear threats. This is despite Washington's pledge 14 years ago to modernize its nuclear arsenal. Since then, it has not produced a single new weapon, whereas China produced 100 missiles just last year and is on track to quadruple its nuclear missile stockpile by 2030. This classification comes at a historically challenging time, according to the report, as the United States faces multiple global crises, including the war in Ukraine, Houthi threats in the Red Sea, and increasing hostility from Iran, North Korea, and China. Iran has also come closer to acquiring nuclear weapons, producing enriched uranium at 60% purity, nearing the 90% threshold required for weapons manufacturing. These developments pose significant threats to vital U.S. interests, with China and Iran considered aggressive adversaries and Russia at the top of the hostility scale. However, the United States remains aware of these escalating external threats. It continues to maintain its position as the largest operator of overseas military bases, surrounding its rivals with a network of military sites and soldiers stationed in strategic regions vital to American interests. Over 170,000 U.S. troops are deployed across approximately 750 bases in more than 70 countries. In the Middle East, the U.S. has maintained its strongest foreign military presence since the creation of the Fifth Fleet. Currently, over 30,000 American troops are stationed in the region, spread across 15 countries, along with a vast arsenal of advanced weaponry and military equipment. The Al Udeid Air Base in southwest Doha is the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East, housing the Combined Air Operations Center responsible for coordinating U.S. and allied air forces throughout the region. Bahrain hosts the headquarters of the Fifth Fleet, consisting of aircraft carrier strike groups, submarines, amphibious forces, and mine clearance and maritime surveillance units. Since the campaign against ISIS in 2014, 2,500 U.S. troops have been stationed in Iraq and 900 in Syria for training and advisory purposes. Following the events of October 7, 2023, Washington deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier strike group to the region, accompanied by 5,000 naval personnel, warplanes, cruisers, and destroyers. This was followed by the nuclear-powered USS Eisenhower, carrying another 5,000 troops and up to 9 squadrons of aircraft. Additionally, 900 rapid response personnel were dispatched to bolster regional deterrence efforts and enhance the protection of U.S. forces. Despite this military build-up, pro-Iranian armed groups continue to target U.S. forces and sites in Syria, Iraq, and Jordan. While the Middle East has preoccupied the U.S., another theater of military power projection is the Indo-Pacific region, where the United States is expanding its military presence to encircle its chief rival, China. This region spans nearly half the globe, and according to U.S. defense strategy, it is divided into 2 zones to contain China. The first island chain begins in Sasebo, Japan, and stretches through Taiwan and the Philippines. The second chain starts in Yokosuka, Japan, and extends southward. Japan hosts 120 U.S. bases, more than any other country, and is home to the 7th Fleet, responsible for securing a vast area of about 124 million square kilometers. South Korea ranks 3rd in hosting U.S. forces with 73 bases, including the world's largest overseas U.S. base, Camp Humphreys. On Guam, 3 key U.S. bases occupy 29% of the island, with Andersen Air Force Base being the most strategically significant. In Singapore, the U.S. maintains a support base for its fleet and a management hub for littoral combat ships. Washington recently signed an agreement with the Philippines to establish 4 new bases, just 1,200 kilometers from Taiwan. In Europe, the United States has reinforced its military footprint due to the escalating threat of a broader conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Approximately 65,000 U.S. troops are stationed in Europe, with bases concentrated in Western countries such as Germany, 21 bases, the United Kingdom, 13 bases, and Italy. Other bases are in Spain, Portugal, and Greece. Efforts are also underway to expand U.S. military presence in Eastern Europe, including a new base in Poland and deployments in Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, and Slovakia. The latest is the Rzeszów military base in Poland, which includes about 2,000 U.S. Marine Corps troops. U.S. forces are also deployed in several locations in Eastern Europe alongside NATO and have multinational battle groups in Bulgaria, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia. But military bases and weapons are not enough to achieve victories in wars. The U.S. Army has been facing challenges for nearly half a century and failed in 2022 to meet its recruitment goal, falling short by 15,000 active duty soldiers, equivalent to 25% of its target. This means that the country's primary ground force could shrink by up to 7% in just 2 years, at a time when its missions are increasing. A survey by Echelon Insights revealed that 72% of Americans are unwilling to defend their country in armed conflict, possibly due to declining trust in the military. A Gallup poll showed trust in the military has dropped to 60%, down from 85% in 1991, attributed to the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan and the failure of counter-terrorism efforts. To address these challenges, Washington allocated a record $886 billion in defense spending in its 2023 National Defense Authorization Act, including wage increases for service members, new ships and aircraft, and support for allies like Ukraine and Taiwan. Despite its extensive global influence, the US military may struggle to counter a resurgent Russia or an ambitious China, both aiming to dethrone America in a multipolar world. Emboldened militias and groups have targeted US bases without fear, raising the question, has the era of the invincible military ended? Or will Uncle Sam awaken from his slumber before it's too late?